This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Nutritionists are working illegally if not registered, warns Health Authority. Regional dietitian at the Western Regional Health Authority, Dr. Rosalie Brown, says it is illegal for persons who are not registered with the Council of Professions Supplementary to Medicine to work as a nutritionist. In a release, Brown warned that there may be many Jamaicans who have basic training and that they are going around saying they are nutritionists. It is illegal to do so unless they are licensed with the Council of Professions Supplementary to Medicine, she said. Brown also outlined the training necessary for eligibility to the profession and that there are differences between a dietitian and a nutritionist. A dietitian is a nutritionist, but a nutritionist is not a dietitian. A dietitian is a professional who is trained at a minimum at the bachelor's degree level, and then that person will have to complete an internship or a supervised practice program and must be registered with the Council of Professions Supplementary to Medicine, she said. A nutritionist can enter the profession using several tracks, so the nutritionist can be one who starts with a Bachelor of Science and then they would have done the master's degree in nutrition. They can also enter by doing a Bachelor of Science degree in dietetics or by doing a Bachelor of Science degree in nutrition and dietetics without the internship, and then they would do a master's degree, Brown said. ECJ denies selling access to elector registration voter identification database. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica says it does not sell access, nor has it granted access to the elector registration voter identification database, which includes electors' biometric and demographic information. It was responding to claims made in a Gleaner article Sunday that the Commission was selling voters' data. In a statement, the ECG explained that it has created an extract of the identification card database for the purpose of ID verification that is granted to mainly government-regulated institutions. It said this database utilized by these entities assists with authentication of voter ID cards, which are required by these entities to be presented by the elector who owns the card, and therefore necessitates authorization, which requires the verification of the information of the identification service. The voter ID card is regarded as a national ID card and is widely used across the country for opening bank accounts, collecting remittances, and facilitating access to loans at a number of entities. The Commission said that like many other forms of identification in Jamaica, the ID card requires corroboration by the responsible organization which houses and maintains such a database, who in this context is the ECJ, as mandated by the Representation of the People's Act from those using the voter ID card. It said the fee that is charged to these institutions in need of verifying electors' card information is the actual cost for maintenance of this replica database and not a scheme for the ECJ to be profiteering from the personal information of its stakeholders. The process of an elector presenting his or her card to an entity, indicating to the entity that this is a genuine voter ID card issued by the ECJ, requires these entities to do the necessary verification of the card, the Commission explained, adding that this verification process can only be accessed by these entities with the cardholder's unique identification number represented on each voter ID card. The ECJ further assured all electors that it prides itself highly on its integrity and professionalism as the responsible entity in maintaining the country's voters list and would not do anything to prejudice the trust that it has developed as a national institution in Jamaica. We remain committed to the implementation of free and fair elections in Jamaica and to the protection of all electors' data, ensuring the identity of each elector, the Commission said. Senior citizen killed in Manchester crash. A senior citizen died as a result of injuries he sustained in a crash in Miketown, Manchester on Saturday night. The police have since identified the deceased as a 62-year-old Derek Blackwood, a mechanic and a resident of Miketown. A report from the Constabulary Communications Unit said Blackwood was driving a motor vehicle on Nesbury Street when he lost control of it. The vehicle went off the road into a gully. Firefighters had to be called at 10 p.m. to extricate Blackwood from the mangled vehicle. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Former top cops want a greater community link in crime fight. Two of Jamaica's former top crime fighters believe that the Jamaica Constabulary Force could be making more progress in the fight against the crime if there was greater community engagement at the street level between the police and the members of the violence-prone communities. Isaiah Leng and Antimorte Paro Campbell both agree that the force could be seeing greater results if rank-and-file police officers had better interaction with the borderline youth. They also agree that there needs to be a greater level of commitment by police officers to the job. Many police officers these days see the service as just a job. We were never like that. We were blessed to have good leaders and we aspired to be like them. We didn't think about danger. Although we never wore vests and helmets, we just didn't have them. We didn't think about death because we were all committed to the cause of solving crimes. Perhaps people would say we were fools, but we knew the job and what needed to be done, said Campbell. Leng said that he has been making the argument for more community intervention, but his words have fallen on stony ground. I've been saying for the last 10 years that the guys who are on the borderline need reasoning and not just hardcore policing. You have to get into the communities and reason with the youths. The system has tried to do away with the area leaders, but I think they are good to have around. Not all area leaders are dons, and when you are able to work with them, you are better able to manage the direction in which at-risk youths go. The area leader is a very important person in a community. The regular community policing will not work. The street police have to go into the community and build rapport. There is too much mistrust of the police, and the onus is on the police to correct that issue, Leng said. Serving at the top of their game in the 1980s and the 90s, the officers did not have the benefit of technology as today's cadre of crime fighters, but they said they still had good results. We were able to make numerous arrests through good investigation, and many were high-profile cases. The forensic lab was not as well equipped like now, but we relied on evidence of eyewitnesses and we forged great links with the communities. We would finish work and go back into the same communities we policed during the day to have a drink. We saw the people as our brothers and sisters, and despite the fact that some had antisocial behavior, we were always there with them. When I was the inspector in charge of crime at Hunts Bay, we would have community meetings 5 times per week. These were hardcore ghetto communities and the criminal elements were vicious. I don't think the police now have it as wicked as we used to. Back in the politics days of the 80s, it was communities fighting communities, and we had to be the buffer. When you are in the middle of Rima and the jungle, 7th Street borderline, you have gunshots coming at you from all angles. The JLP and the PNP were fighting, and it was not just the one street, Campbell said. The police have been having a high level of success recovering illegal guns in recent times. Leng, who recovered 145 guns whilst serving, said it is commendable, but more needs to be done to prevent guns from getting on the island. It is good that they are finding the guns, but I heard the National Security Minister say there are more than 200 guns coming into the country on a monthly basis, so I don't know what they are going to do. I have been making suggestions, but nobody is listening. We have so many illegal guns in the country. It has become a very big business. I see where the Prime Minister is trying by giving monetary incentives for the recovery of guns. What is going to happen is that people are going to bring in the guns and trade them in for cash. I think the incentive is too big. But in order for the new policy to work, they must bring the new legislations in place so that there can be greater sentences for illegal possession. That can be the only deterrent to having so many illegal guns out there. Campbell said it will take people power to bring the murder rate down in Jamaica. The police can only delay murder, but it is not a preventable offense. The authorities have put things in place like Crime Stop and the 311, but the people aren't using them enough. He said that bureaucracy in the court system is stifling the criminal justice process. We need speedy trials because when you have witnesses coming to court 6 or 7 times, they get frustrated and abort the process. That is how many murderers walk free, said Campbell, who served almost 41 years on the force and retired at the rank of deputy superintendent. That is almost a lifetime, but I have no regrets. If I had to do it all over again, and I could see most of those who I have served with in the past lining up, I would join the line. But things have changed and there are more opportunities now in the system than in the past. I would encourage the officers who are now considering 25 and 30 years of service to find something additional but legitimate to do because the salary is not going to carry them and their families. The police need better treatment because if they are not looked after, they will leave. They will take the training and will leave to go and serve in other jurisdictions. The force has a high attrition rate, and if we want to retain good cops, the authorities must do better than they are doing now, he said. Leng agreed the solution to having a better police force is about having good and committed people enlisting. We loved the job and we wanted to protect people, but the police are not being treated well. In order for there to be retention and commitment, the police have to get a better deal. The police need to be better paid. Leng said there are many factors why the police are finding it difficult to bring crime under control. We have to look at how it all started. When I was growing up in Spanish Town, we had 27 factories. These days we don't have one, so there are many youths who have nothing to do and the gang becomes very appealing. We have to find a way to fix that problem, otherwise we will not get on top of this murder situation. Leng, who served 20 years and left as a detective sergeant in 1996, believes the police force should call on the services of experienced former cops like himself to help in the fight against the crime. Some years ago, when they brought the set of policemen over from England, they turned to us for advice. There is a set of us here who know the system. We think like the criminals, so we know what they will do and won't do. I've found more guns being outside of the force than when I was in there. That is because people trust me. Many of us who are no longer serving would like to contribute, but the framework must be put in place, and for that to happen, there has to be will on the part of the policymakers, and so far they are not listening, said Leng. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.